Sometimes you hear about a person and you just think, wow, I got to meet this person.
Right.
That's how we felt diving into this conversation about a potential friendship.
Yeah.
And we just had to share it with you.
Oh, absolutely.
So picture this. Two people chatting online, and one is describing their friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this friend is incredible, excels at math, composes music,
Wow.
and loves poker.
It's like, what? That's such a fascinating mix.
Right. Like, how does that even...
Yeah, how does that all fit together in one person?
And that's just scratching the surface.
It makes you wonder, what kind of mind brings all those things together?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
I love it.
So where do we even begin with this?
Well, I think what struck me the most right off the bat was how much this conversation emphasized just how rare genuine friendship is.
Yeah.
And why that resonates with so many people today,
I mean, it's something we all crave, right? Connection.
Absolutely. And I think so many of us are feeling isolated these days. Just scrolling through our phones, not really connecting on a deeper level.
It's easy to get lost in that.
Exactly.
And I think this conversation really highlights that longing for something more.
Yeah, that search for a meaningful connection.
And the way this friend is described,
Yeah.
it's not just like listing achievements.
No.
It's more like these hints of personality.
It is.
Like you get a sense of who this person is.
You really do. And that's something we do all the time, right? We
Yeah.
infer so much about people, even from just little snippets of information.
It's true.
It makes you think about how we form first impressions.
It really does. And the thing is, this conversation gets even deeper.
Oh, yeah.
Because the other person in the conversation, they're really open about their own struggles.
Okay.
They mentioned financial instability, not having a steady job.
Wow, that's pretty vulnerable.
It is, right.
Hey.
And it made me think about how that level of honesty could be seen as both a positive and a negative.
You mean in terms of making a connection?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like on the one hand, it shows vulnerability and strength.
For sure.
But on the other hand, some people might be hesitant to connect with someone who's going through a lot.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's tricky. I remember when I met my friend.
Yeah?
Oh gosh, what was her name?
It'll come to you.
Sarah. We were both going through rough patches at the time.
Okay.
And that shared vulnerability really brought us closer.
Sometimes those shared struggles, they really can create a strong bond.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in this conversation, the honesty, it felt genuine.
It did.
Like a real desire to connect authentically.
Makes sense.
And it made me think about, the friend being described as this brilliant person, maybe used to success.
Right. Right.
How would that dynamic play out?
Oh, that's a good point. Because you've got these differences in circumstances, but then also this shared desire for connection.
It's a fascinating mix.
Mm-hmm.
And what's even more interesting is that despite all the challenges, they actually talk about meeting up.
Really?
Yeah. The friend is visiting Switzerland.
Oh, so there's a logistical hurdle there.
Right. But
Yeah.
they're both so open to making it happen.
That says a lot.
It does, right.
It really shows how strong those shared values and interests are.
Yeah. Like they're willing to put in the effort.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes this conversation so hopeful.
It is, right.
Even with all the complications, there's this sense of possibility.
Totally. So what have we learned today?
Yeah. What are the big takeaways here?
Well, I think it's clear that individual circumstances play a huge role in shaping our connections.
Absolutely.
And that the yearning for connection is universal.
It truly is.
And that even with all the challenges, new friendships can blossom in the most unexpected ways.
It's amazing. And it leaves me thinking, imagine you're that friend in Switzerland, right?
Yeah.
You're hearing about these two people who are so eager to connect with you.
Yeah.
What would you do? How would you approach this potential meeting?
Such a good question. What questions would you have? What would you want to know about them?
Right. Would love to hear your thoughts.
So let us know. Maybe this deep dive will even inspire some new connections of your own.
Who knows what could happen?
Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
How do you feel today? You look to be in a good mood as well.
Oh, you can see
Well-
that I'm always surprised because we don't meet in real life. So I'm surprised if you can pick up on little things like that.
So I was right.
Yeah, you were. No, I feel quite good. I have the impression that, as you say, that things are going quite well.
I'm very happy to hear that.
But do you want to have a little talk? We had some messages about your friend. Would you like to talk about that, or would you start with poker and talk about it later?
Well, we can talk about it a little bit. I don't think I have too much I want to say about it. It's just that I know both of you a little bit. Well, him I know much better. He's like, I would say, my top 5 best friends, something like that. So, and I've known him for 10 years, and I just had this, how do you say, intuition or feeling that you two might get along well. And I could be wrong about it. It was just that if I think 2 people would get along well, then I get the feeling or impression that I want to introduce them to each other, basically. Yeah.
So you want me to find a new friend?
If you say it like that, then it sounds silly. No,
Why does it sound silly? I think friendship is a beautiful thing. So I don't think it's silly. It's a very precious thing. If you have a real friend, well, then you're a lucky man. Most people don't. It's really, really sad nowadays because people don't talk anymore. People don't have any real friends. Nobody they can trust. So that's very sad, when you're just old and all you're left to do with your money and with your time is watch TV. Sit on your butt and watch TV. My friend always saw talking about her because I know a lot about her. But she's complaining about her husband. My friend, the religious woman. She's called Marianne, and she knows by heart the Bible. But she has problems with her husband. And now the new thing is that she doesn't want to share the card with the money for the laundry with her husband. And she wants to use my card instead. Now, if you have relation problems with your husband, I understand that. But just going to your friend and asking for a new card for laundry, that won't fix the issue. So what I'm saying is and why do I talk about him? My point is actually different. My point is that George is the husband of Marianne. He always complains about his health. But if you're sick, you have to go see a doctor. They will put you in a hospital bed. But it's not a way of living, just complaining all day long because you don't feel well and want to take anti-pain medication. You cannot do that for a long extended period of time. And then the only thing you are left to do is watch TV. Well, of course you feel bad if your life has no sense and you only want to watch TV. If I do that 3 days straight without doing anything, I guarantee you I will feel bad too, So that's the sad thing. And they don't have real close friends, people with whom to talk. They invite me for New Year and I'm the only one who goes. Okay. But I don't have any friends too. So I'm not an example, but I only tell you that because people have friends are very rare nowadays. So if I can find a new friend, that's a very great thing. But you have to go get along with him. And it's not because he's your friend that he will become my friend for that simple reason. Now, I understand that you want to present me to him. And yes, if that's what you want to do, I think why not? To come back to our question. Yes, we could do that once and I can have a talk with him. But I imagine something different. I imagine when you asked me to contact him, it's because I live in Switzerland and he's coming to Switzerland. So it's nice for him to have somebody with he can talk and who could maybe help him out with 1 or 2 things. I thought it's more for that reason than just finding a new friend. So what do you answer to all of that?
Yes. So firstly, I agree with you. It's tough to find good people to get along with. And, I've known him for 10 years plus, so I rate him very highly. And I think he already knows some people in Switzerland, like he's going there for half a year. I think it's university program, or I'm not sure exactly what are the details, but
is the university program called?
Possibly, yes, possibly.
Because when I was in university, there was such a program and a lot of people came with that program. So that's why I'm asking.
Yes, I think most likely it is that one. I don't know all these details.
So he will go to a university in Bâle?
I don't know that. I don't even know that. I asked him if he's going for work, holiday, or study. And I think he answered that he's mainly going for holiday. But, we talked about other stuff. And
is he a wealthy man?
I do think he does.
I don't mind about that. But just if you spend 6 months in Switzerland for holiday, then you have it's not cheap, So that's why I'm asking.
Well, I don't know. So here's, I think
I have nothing against it. Huh? Don't get me wrong. I have nothing against it. I'm just wondering.
I don't know all this.
You just told me that he's one of your best friend. If I didn't get you wrong,
yes,
so you should know a couple of things about your friend.
But to me, that is not so important because for me, he's going to Switzerland and I asked him some questions. He didn't want to talk about that. He wanted to talk about something else. So, we have many things to talk about with him about, right? So I did ask him about going to Switzerland, but he wasn't he didn't go too much into details about it. So I guess ask him these things you asked, but we were, with old friends, sometimes there's more other stuff to talk than just work or these normal things. Anyhow, I do rate him very highly, and I don't know about wealthy, but he does do some investing stuff. He's not a trader or anything, but I know he's interested in investing. And I think it is nice if you go somewhere, if there's someone you could meet up there or ask some questions about the place or just like a bus ticket card or whatever, things or like that. But I'm sure he has other people for these things as well. But I just felt somehow that, you have shared interests, or I think in some ways similarities. Well, you're both different and brilliant in your own ways, but just to tell you a little bit about him, he's the smartest guy with math I know. So I went to you could say the hardest university course you could get into in the best university in my country. And everyone there were super amazing, but he was the best out of my whole class that I went to in math specifically. And also, so that's a cool thing about him. He's also has interest in poker, similar to yours. He's never taken it seriously, just like him and his friends, basically, and me, but I didn't ever go there because I don't want to play poker in my free time. But essentially they had this weekly poker meetings, and then you had leaderboard points, and they didn't play for money, but they played for points in the leaderboard essentially. And that's a shared interest that he's also quite smart and good with poker. And music really is, I think, thing that could also connect you, because I would even say he's like a composer. I think he knows every instrument and has even written himself some, composed some musical pieces with multiple instruments and things. So he's just, well-traveled, smart, very brilliant young guy. So I think it's, I don't know. It's just like a shot in the dark. Not every seed has to become a tree or whatever, but how I envisioned it wouldn't be too difficult for you to talk about politics or all this stuff we talk to each other about anyway, or about poker as well. So that's all. To introduce him a little bit. That's all basically. But I guess maybe I'm awkward about it if it feels forced or weird in that way. I didn't really, think it through in that way. I was just he mentioned he's going to Switzerland, and I asked him what region. He said French speaking region. And then I was might know someone from there who's very cool guy. Maybe it's how to say, stars aligned that the universe. Yeah, at least that's how I like to think of things. If it's a very nice coincidence, then I like to believe maybe something can come out of it. But it doesn't have to always happen either. So yeah, but he was interested to meet you. I didn't even tell him anything about you really, but he was ready to already get on this call. I think he knows me for a long time. So I think he just trusted my judgment that you two could get along. And he's very easy to get along with. I think he's very friendly and nice.
Okay. Everything you said sounds interesting. He seems to be a very interesting and smart guy from what you told me. So yes, it's always nice to meet people. But the only reason why I didn't say yes straight away is because I thought you would be mistaken about my capability of doing stuff for him. Because unfortunately, I'm still struggling. By that, I mean, look, if things had been different, but they never are. It's like if I tell you I played a poker game and I lost. if I just had a couple of aces, everything would have been great, you know? It's a stupid thing to say because you have to deal with the circumstances as they are. But I'm still struggling. And for me, it is hard to do certain things. I'm not a wealthy man. I'm limited in what I can do because I'm still struggling, you know, to face all the obligation that I have. And I don't have a steady job that allows me to make 100 or 200 Ks every year. And for certain, you know, for me, well, it's stupid to say because I always say the same thing, but it is a struggle, you know. I have to survive. I must be capable of doing the stuff I do. So it's just that I'm very limited in what I can do. But that being said, I'm not living under a bridge and there's some stuff I can do. And yes, if he's close to me or we could meet once, that would be a nice thing. And we can meet in a restaurant or somewhere else and have a talk or spend an afternoon together or something like this, for sure. So it sounds interesting to me. I just want you to understand my condition and be aware that it's very limited what the help and support I can offer him.
Yes, I'm sorry. I should have made it more clear in the beginning, right? So.
And you know, I also live in a small apartment. So if he needs to sleep for a couple of days, I cannot just say, no problem, come to my place, you know? It's just stuff that I cannot do right now because I'm not fortunate enough to do that. But apart from that, there's still stuff that I can do. And he sounds like an interesting guy. So yes, meeting him would be a nice thing to understand my situation a little.
I gave you the wrong impression, right? So he didn't need anything. He didn't ask for it. He has his things set up there. I think he's already in Switzerland. He has a place to stay. He has stuff he does there. I don't need anything from you for him. And I don't think he either expects or needs anything. There is no expectations. It's just the opportunity to meet someone who I consider as a very nice person.
Yeah. You said a lot of good things about him and he seems to be very interesting. So I'll be glad to meet him. So we can chat. He can meet doing one of our calls or you can propose me another time. If I'm free, I'll make time for it. And I jump on a call and I would be glad to meet him and have a talk with him. And we see what comes from it.
Yeah, I imagine he would just be interested to hear about, you know, the region or the city or anything.
Yeah. But the thing is, I'm not a travel advisor, you know. So and there's an office already from the state traveling office. So if he has any question of that, he can simply ask. So that's not a thing I would be able to do a lot. But I would be glad to meet him and share my contact with him. And if he has some question, then I can be of some help. I'll see what I can do.
I'll let him know you're not a travel advisor, and then I'll basically.
It's not a problem of being a travel advisor, but I'm not even sure about the city he's in. So I have to check on a map and maybe I was there, maybe I wasn't, you know, so I have to check. The thing is, if I meet him for me right now and why I say yes, it's just because he seems interesting and it's an opportunity to meet somebody new. He seems like you said, being an interesting and smart guy. So that's always nice to know such people. I think he does more with his life than sit on his butt and watch TV. So that's a nice thing.
Yes. And with travel advising also, you know, me personally, I'd rather get advice from someone who I'm also interested in as a person, right? So I still think it's a bit different if you get like generic advice or talk to someone who you also might like as a friend. So, but yeah, I don't know why. I'll just tell him what you basically told me and then I'll go from there. So
yeah, the issue with advice is that most people have a product to sell. They have an agenda. They don't talk from their heart, you know. For example, if you ask somebody, you want to lower your grass. Let's say you have a house and you want to lower your grass and you're looking for a grass lower. Well, you find somebody who sells them and you ask him, is it a good product? Of course, he will say it's a good product. He won't tell you, if you go two streets down there to your left, you'll find a better one for a better price. He won't tell you that, you know. With a lot of people, they have an agenda. They just do it because it's their job to do it. And it's not sincere, the advice they give. That's the issue, yes. So if you have somebody who can talk openly and tell you the truth, it's always better. But a lot of people don't like that, you know.
But
because
this is
because
actually,
the truth might hurt you, might not be what you expect.
but this is actually one of your strengths, right? That's why I think you're the best travel advisor, because you'll tell it like it is. You won't sugarcoat anything. You'll just tell him like straight up how things are. So that's what I think is nice about you. I think you're very good at saying even difficult things outwards, right? Even how you describe talking to your friends, or Marian, for example. I think many times with your stories, I noticed that you say the difficult thing, what you find to be right. So that's why I think you're a very valuable and great friend to have.
Yeah, the greatest quality of my friend Marianne is that she doesn't get mad. So sometimes I tell her tough stuff and hard stuff for her, but she never has a grudge against you. She never gets really, really mad, you know? It never breaks up the relationship. And that's a great quality to have. I try not to be too hard. I still sugarcoat stuff, but sometimes I have to tell her things that is not what she wants to hear, you know? So, and she ends up forgiving me or not being mad with me, or at least thinking a little about it. You know, even if I can change, it's like you said, you plant a seed and not every seed will grow, but you still hope for the best.
Yeah.
Okay, Norman. So I'll let you think about it and make me another proposition, or tell me how we do it, or he just contacts me on WhatsApp or whatever, and we see how it goes.
Okay.
That's great. And now, would you like to start straight with poker? You have something else to do.
I had a bit of an idea.
And look at heads up idea and go over my hands next time. I just share the hand to note, and then
Yes.
and then you tell me what to do.
Yes.
But what helps me a lot with my heads up game is the charts you gave. You give me a pusher chart and a caller chart. And most of the time I follow that chart, which helps a lot, you know? So I don't win all my heads up, but I think I win more than 50%.
That's good. Let's start with the 4 marked hands from last week.
Okay, if you want, but that might take already quite some time. Are you sure you want to do that?
Just 4 hands, I'll do it
You
quickly.
say first just 4, but you're capable of talking 20 minutes for...
I will limit my advice this time.
Okay. I don't want you to limit your advice. I'm just saying 4 hands can be long.
Well, I'll filter it, right? I'll just filter out the key details. So let's start with 1. If it takes too long, then we go to heads up. But maybe we get quickly this 4 hand. All right, I'm all set out, ready to go here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, well, I'd say I'd ask you first. I think that's another thing I want to practice more with lessons. And I've said it like 100 times, but I should let the student share their thoughts first. So you marked this hand for a review. What thoughts come to your mind seeing this?
Well, the thing, he's 3-betting me, and I already put 6 big blinds on the table when he only limped. So he showed a very small strength by only limping, like if he has not a very good hand, but good enough to see a flop. And now he goes all in. He shows me it was a trap, and actually I have pocket aces, pocket queens, or pocket kings. So I want to fold because I give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's bluffing me for nothing. And bluffing in that spot, is it really a good idea when there are already 2 people who showed some interest and me think them? I'm not sure that's such a good idea. So I don't think it's such a good spot to bluff. So I think he has something very good, and I think he beats my king jack suited. What do you think?
I agree with what you said here. So it is a bit incongruent, right? This difficult English word that he first limps and then goes all in. First weak, then very strong. But the main thing is that he did go all in, and you only have king jack suited. So that's a big all in here. So I agree with your analysis, and I hope you folded that hand. And you see, it only took us a few minutes this time, so that's great. So just like with last hand, play it out, and then I guess you don't even have to play it out. You can already pause and give your thoughts on this.
Well, times 2 would be 10 big blinds, and that would be a lot out of my 19 big blinds. So I thought, since I don't have that much left, instead of ending up with 10 big blinds and negotiating a flop, I thought there was a good chance he would fold his 2 big blinds and his raise, and I would make it without seeing a flop. And if he doesn't, well, I have king ace suited. It's one of the better hands in poker. So my probability of winning should not be too low. So I thought it was a good decision, but I don't know if you agree.
Okay. So the guy you're going all in against, is it that what stands out about player 4?
He has 51.7, so he can take me out of the game. If he loses that all in, he will still be fine. But if I lose that all in, it is catastrophic for me because I won't enter the bubble. So that's the difference between me and him. But he should be aware of that and even think that I'm stronger because of it. So there's a chance that he folds. And if he doesn't fold, well, there's a chance that he has something not that good and that I can beat him. What do you
How
think?
does him having a big stack like he influence his decision to call or fold?
Well, the thing is, if I'm at his, normally if he has more, he can afford to lose more. So he should be willing to call my all in with less hesitation. I agree with that. Up to here, it is normal. But if I would be at his position, risk 20 big blinds when I'm already first and I'm sure to see to be in the bubble and I will be competing for first. Why take the risk now? There will be plenty of time once I'm in a head-up position to go all in. Why should I risk an all in right now? And maybe lose a big stack of my 51.7 big blinds. So I would be hesitant. But that's me. And I have some experience in poker and I have a good teacher. He might be on a different level and think very differently.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you said. The general problem with this is poker and people like to gamble, right? That's the thing that you shoving into him is strong. He should give that respect. And even though he can afford to lose 20 big blinds, he still should be cautious about it and not do it without thoughtful consideration. However, this is poker, and if people have something, they like to gamble for it. So I think that's so what?
The question we should ask is what he has. And now it's not a good question because we already know that he made an all-in. It says it on the right since I won that. And I think I won it for more than just 2 big blinds. So we know that he called my all-in. Even if we know it, what does he have? I think he could have jacks or tens or sevens or something like this. And in that case, is he ahead or below me? I think he's very slightly ahead because he has already a made pair, but just very, very slightly. And now it's easy because we know that he called my all in. But in reality, we didn't know that. So we had fold equity. So I think my decision wasn't that bad, even since he called. But what do you think?
Yes, I agree that your decision's fine because your hand is extremely strong. It's ace-king suited. However, if it was slightly weaker, this is a spot you have to be very cautious in, right? So if your hand was something like ace-10 in this spot, now it would be way more risky. And one big thing that I disagreed with is that you mentioned that you have little chips. I mean, you mentioned at least that you don't want to call and have just 10 big blinds left and stuff like that. If we look at the tournament situation for this tournament, you're currently in 3rd place, but also very close to 2nd place. Yes? And
Yeah.
player 4 way out in 5th. And then it's between player 1, player 2 and you for places 2 to 4th. So your chances of getting to top 3 is quite high here. So in general, in a spot like this, you should be very cautious to not gamble away your good chances at top 3 against the big stack who raised. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the key point of this hand, what to be cautious about. But I still agree with your play because he raised the button. I think he's going to raise many hands there and he's going to fold most of them. And even if he calls his pocket jacks, you're very close to 50-50. But I think there's a very decent chance that he'll fold. So because your hand's so good, I think it's fine. But you should I think the sentiment I want to give to you from this, right? This kind of, why am I talking so long about this? Is that in this shove spot, really you got to look at it in this way, that your very good spot to get to top 3 and from then on to top 2. And if you went out now 5th, that's a big blunder if it happens. So you should only go for it if you think that the chances of you going out 5th are quite slim. Okay. So you shouldn't put too much emphasis trying to win this 4 big blinds in the middle. If that also means quarter of the time, that's the last hand of your tournament. And I think it's going to be the last hand of your tournament, maybe 1 in 8 times, maybe possibly even a little less, 1 in 10 times. I guess 1 in 10 is too low. I think it's a bit more than that. So certainly I could see myself just calling this pre-flop just to be extra safe. But I cannot say anything against this play because your hand is so strong that it's allowed to do this. But it's still a risk. It's still a gamble against the big stack who has 2.5 times more chips. So I'm always trying to remind this cautiousness in these spots where you're very close to second place. I mean, you're very comfortable situation in tournament. So, and putting it all on the line is a big thing, but you went for it. You didn't get a fold, which is the first disaster. Let's see what he had. I mean, you ended up winning the hand, which is good. I mean, best case, he has ace, jack, or ace, queen, or stuff like that. So what did he end up having? And did it make sense, this thing I tried to transmit to you here?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Thanks for reminding me that. I think I wouldn't even have done my all-in with ace, queen suited. It's just that I had ace, king suited. So that's why I thought I could do it, as you said, that it was allowed. But I even with a queen suited, I think then I would have just called and negotiated a flop with him with an ace king, a queen suited. But ace king, I thought it was enough. So, and one more thing you said is you think that 8 times out of 10 I win. Actually, that you are more optimistic than me, because I only think that I win once, that I win maybe 7 times out of 10. I'm not sure that it's 8 times out of 10. So you're a little more optimistic, because they're just very, when you play for $1.5, there are a lot of people who really like to gamble and really don't care if they lose 20 big blinds. So in that situation, I'm not sure that I win 8 out of 10. If I play for more like 10 USD or maybe 100 USD, then I think people will start thinking more. But at those low levels, I'm not sure that 8 times out of 10 they fold. So that's the only small difference between your analysis and mine. But for the rest, I agree.
Yes, I agree with that. Although there is a little, if you think back to your original analysis, then you did point out many things that he should fold because your all-in is strong, and he should preserve his 50 big blinds and so on.
Yeah. I'm not taking that back. It's just the amount of time. It's how many times I win. Even 7 times out of 10, I'm a little hesitant because they really, really like to gamble, as you said, at the levels where I play. But it's just the probability I'm talking about. So be more optimistic or a little less optimistic. That's all. But I don't take back my arguments for him folding and why he should fold. I still believe all that. It's just the probability of when it happens that I might be a little skeptical. But if not, I agree.
But it's a big chance, if we go with your numbers, that 30% your tournament ends this all in. So, I mean, you should really...
Yeah, but 70% I make money. So that's why I...
Very big error you made there, which is if you double this hand, how many players are left? Or if you fold?
Okay. It's not sure that I enter the bubble. Yeah.
You could still go out 4th or 5th. So
yeah.
There's no reward, but there's an immediate punishment.
Yeah, but my idea is the following. I cannot know what happens for the next 10 hands or the next 20 or the next 30 hands. I don't think anybody can. But what I can analyze with you is what happens during the current hand. And if this decision is more profitable than negative, then I will make money on the long time. If I'm in this same position 10,000 times and I play it the same way 10,000 times, I think I make more big blinds than I lose. That's all I say. But just this hand, I'm not talking about the rest. The rest I have no idea about, So, of course, I don't know what will happen during the next 10 hands.
Yeah, the big thing is...
But I know I don't make any money on this hand. I know that.
But your goal isn't to win big blinds in tournaments. Your goal is to move up in places. And that's a big distinction there. So you should focus on doing plays that help you move along in a leaderboard. So really, if you had to go all in on the table against anyone, then player 4 is the last player you want to be all in against, because that has the least impact on the tournament. If you go all in against player 5 and you win, then there's 4 players left. If you go all in against player 2 and win, he has 2 big blinds left. And so you're very close to 4 players left. So it's a big consideration that are you just going all in for big blinds, or are you going all in with the hopes that you're moving closer to a higher ranking?
Yeah, I understand what you say. Thank you for reminding me that. But it's a hard thing to get, because in my brain, if I make more big blind, my chances of entering the bubble are higher. And if I enter the bubble, well, then I will make some money. But I cannot just think like that. I have to think about my position on the leaderboard more. So yeah, thank you for reminding that. But it's a hard distinction to do in your brain.
Well, then play cash games, then it's easier. You don't have to worry about that.
One day, Norman, when I'm good enough and I think I'm good enough, when I play for the next level or the level afterwards, then it will be around 10 USD. And then my cash game could cost the same. It would be 10 USD. So
I have a question.
Then it's an easy thing to do.
Have you tried the next level just to see what the skill is there?
No, I have not. Because my idea was, I don't think it changes a lot. But my idea is I wanted some confirmation before I go to the next level. And I'm still close to break even. Now it's close. I have 10 USD more. But that's still very close to break even. Once I make 30, I never made 30. The maximum I made was 20. Then I start crashing. But once I make 30, maybe 40, maybe 60, then I will be much more confident. And I think that once I get more profitable, it's not that hard to make 30 USD or even 60 USD, even playing with 1.5 USD. I think poker, there's not volatility in poker to go up with my bankroll 30 USD or down, or go up 30 or 60 USD or down 30 or 60 USD. I think that should be happening normally, even if I don't pay attention to it. So I think there's enough volatility. But for now, I have no confirmation. I'm still so close to break even that I thought it might be premature. But once I get some confirmation, and I don't know, you have much more experience in poker than I do. When can I expect, with playing 1.5 USD, when can I expect that I be able to make 30 or 60 USD? Do I have to wait 2 years? I mean, you're the one who played poker for your entire life. So you should know how fast that could happen. I think it can happen in 2-3 weeks, but it depends also how much I play, of course. And unfortunately, I don't play much, but I'm working on it. I hope I play more in the future. So that's my idea. But what do you think about it? Tell me.
Well, it very much depends how you think. If you think too much about winning big blinds, then it might never happen. But if you start playing...
But then it's a good idea that I don't move up. What you just said is a good idea. If I can't get if I can't reprogram my brain and start thinking as I should think, well, then it's very good that at the lowest level, Because if I start screw up and start losing my bankroll, what's the point of that? Just losing 300 or 600 USD, what's the point of that? If it's just for losing. So yes, that's why I said, that's why I'm waiting for confirmation. But I understand your criticism. If I cannot reprogram my brain and understand how I should play, yeah, then it's better for me not to move up to the rank and stay at level 1.
I agree with you that next level is basically the same stuff. So If level 1 is difficult, then level 2 won't be magically easier or anything. So, and when it happens for you, I think it really...
But trust me, poker, Norman, just like everybody else, I want to move up, I don't want to move to play at level 1 until the end of my life. So I want to move up. It's just that I wanted some confirmation. That was my idea. Wait for some confirmation, and once you have that, then make the jump. That was my idea. I wanted to be cautious.
To me, the key skill you have to develop is, if you go all in, you're trying to win this 4.2.5 big blinds. If you win it, how many big blinds would you have?
Around 25, a little less.
24 is more accurate. You would have 24.
Yeah.
And then the key thought that you have to put in your mind, is it really necessary to go from 20 to 24? If trying to do that means that 30%, it's all going to be over. And if the answer is no, then it shouldn't happen. So in this case, I think it's fine. But I think in general, that's more of a mindset you need, which is, who cares about the pot of 4 big blinds? Care more about getting to high placings. That's to me the one mindset that makes or breaks a tournament player. Like, once you don't really care about the big blinds as much as the staying in the tournament, like a true tournament player, doesn't matter if they have 5 big blinds, 10. Obviously, they'd like more. And if you can have more, you want more. But a true tournament player, big blinds is an afterthought. Your first thinking is, what's my best way towards that? And if your best way to outlast these players is to go all in, then you will go all in. But it's basically this, don't put a carrot in front of a horse, right? Your goal isn't, the big blind is secondary. Your first thought here is, who's this player 1, player 2, player 5? How can I outlast them? To me, that's and I hear this, right? When you say how you think of hands, I hear this if you're saying about winning a pot, winning big blind. That's a different way of describing. That's starting to describe from the cart. Like, I would like to have all these tomatoes and potatoes in my cart. It's a different thing if you start talking about the horse that's in front of the car. If that makes any sense to you. We can move to the next time.
Yeah, I found it interesting. And I actually want to talk more about it, but I'm not sure we'll do it now. But I find it interesting also from a philosophical point of view. It is very interesting in what you said. Only thing that matters is the goal you fix and how to get to that goal. Every other thought is secondary, is not important. But that's a very, very hard thing to say actually in life. And I think if something is true, it should be true of everywhere. It should be true in mathematics. It should be true in poker. I think a truth is always something that is real. And if you really have to behave like this in life, well, that's a hard thing, So from a philosophical point of view, I have to think about it. But I can do that on my own. But anyways, thank you a lot for pointing this out.
By the way, this can also be true in a cash game. Sometimes you don't want to win big blinds in a cash game. If that means you make the other guy angry, or you take their last dollar that they need to feed their family. So
yeah, because then he won't come back playing.
Yes, I mean, you don't ever want to ruin your opponent completely, yes. It's also part of, like, I think, warrior culture. And even if you look at Animal Kingdom, right? If 2 lions are fighting against each other, they don't kill each other. They just determine a winner and then move on with that. It doesn't help anyone to just go out and destroy for no benefit whatsoever. But yeah, that's their thing.
That's very interesting also what you say. That's very, very, very interesting. And it makes me think about the guy who loses all the time and plays at very high stakes. He makes a lot of money on YouTube and he loses all his money playing. But once in a poker game, and everybody knew that he lost again all his money and that he will be broke until he gets his new check from YouTube and that he even has debt. And he played. It's funny, and that shows you how small the world is. he played with one of the coaches of Daniel Negreanu. Can you imagine that?
Okay.
And the coach of Daniel Negreanu was very concerned and showed a lot of attention to him and asked him if he can do anything for him, even if he can give him money so he can keep playing. But he showed a lot of attention to him and was very, very kind. He, as you said, he didn't like the situation where he lost everything and is totally broke until he gets his new paycheck. And that is in accordance. And it shows you that good poker player do exactly what you say. Do you get a little what I mean by that?
Yes, I agree with this. Yes, that you have to, I guess it's basically the point is you have to see the bigger picture of what's the consequences of actions. Like sometimes you can get an immediate reward, but if the long-term consequences are negative, then that immediate reward isn't gonna do much good, basically. So in the long run. So
yeah. Thank you for that discussion. I really liked it from a philosophical point of view. I hope I'll think about it some more and I will write about it in one of my books because it's very interesting. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you. That's a great honor. And I would say, what is your goal in this moment? What's the primary goal? Your primary goal is to get as high of a prize as possible from this tournament. And as high of a prize, it's great if it's first, but you wouldn't want to sacrifice everything just so to get first. What I mean is going all in like this increases your chances of getting first. And in some ways you could say, well, but that means I'm maximizing my movement towards goal. But your goal isn't just to get first or nothing. Your goal is to get as high average finish as possible. That means that sometimes you have to also sacrifice moving towards first to guarantee third and second first, right? So basically, I would say your primary goal is to get as high prize as possible from this tournament. And in a way, all this all in is very secondary because this all in isn't for a prize. The prizes are for top 3 players.
Yeah, Norman, I agree. I want to say one more thing since I talk about it, since we are talking about it. And to me, that's very important. I mean, important. I'm a philosopher, so I like those ideas. That's why it's important to me. For you, it might be a little different. But the thing is, the question that is debated since ancient time is if money is something good or bad. And philosophers never totally agreed with it. And so some think it's good, some think it's bad. According to what you just said and what you teach, money is not something bad because you have to look at the bigger picture and you have to take decisions that give you a better outcome on the long run. And there's no better outcome if you don't have any opponent left because everybody's totally broke and nobody will play against you. So that's not a good situation to be in. But the thing is, I'm not sure that it's actually that easy because money, without taking the classical ideas that are written in books, so I just don't want to repeat what everybody already said. But for example, when you raise chicken or pigs or goats or whatever, there's a way of doing that, which would be maybe the best way of raising animals. But the thing is, you live under monetary constraints, and you cannot just do what you think is the best, but you can only do what is good for your bottom line, for your profits. So if you don't do that, you will be out of the game. You will be ruined and you will lose everything. So you cannot just consider the best action possible, but you have to consider your profit line, your bottom line, your profits. And if doing something good makes less profitable and because of that you go bankrupt, then you cannot do it. So and the thing is, if there wouldn't be that monetary restraint on people, if people could just behave the best way possible, then it's just a question of resources. And you might have, and I think we have enough resources to raise chicken, pigs, cows in the best way possible and still eat meat. There's a way of raising them really humanely and treating them extremely well until they die. And killing somebody is not a bad thing. So it's not a bad thing to kill a cow. It's the thing is how the cow lives and what the best life is for a cow. For your friend who comes to Switzerland, there are cows who have a better life here than in most countries. He might realize that once he's in Switzerland, because we have special laws and we treat them a little better than in other countries. But the thing is, yeah. So I'm not sure that money is actually such a good thing because I think it still limits you in what you're capable of doing, because you have to compete with other people. And if other people don't do extra things that are expensive, that might be good, but expensive, then you cannot do it. Because if you start doing the expensive stuff, you have to put it in the price, and nobody is willing to pay more just because you do something that is good, but not profitable, So I'm not sure that it's so easy to say that money it's a really good thing. Now, I think that money is better than having people who decide your life. So I think the free market makes a better situation than politics do with what they do. But I'm not sure that it's just a good thing. I think it's just a step, and there will be a time where we have to step beyond it and be capable of just looking at our resources and our capabilities and not having that monetary restraint all the time. But that's just me talking about philosophy and money. We can move on.
If you want, I can recommend you some audiobooks on that. Some of them are very short, like just 30 minutes or an hour. And there's some great authors. I think most notably Andrew Carnegie, who wrote books in the 1800s, where he describes, I think he makes a super good case why we want there to be the super rich and how they're serving and the most generous people in the whole society, essentially. So if you want, I can recommend you some books on that.
Sure, we can take a look. I can take a look at it, but you have to be careful when you talk to people, because they mostly have an agenda and they're mostly protecting their interests. So you have to be careful. For example, you didn't do economics, and your friend is not doing economics at university, but I did some economics. I had some lessons, 2 lessons of economics at university. And all they teach is not actually something that is good for economics. It's just good for the state. It's statist propaganda, So there are a lot of thinkers who do a lot, but they do it because that's what's popular. If you don't do that, well, then you don't get a place in an university you won't have any students, etc. So you have to teach the thing that are approved by the state. Just as under communism, you will have to preach communism economics and communistic propaganda. You cannot go there and in China, for example, start teaching capitalism and explaining to everybody why capitalism is better than communism. You cannot do that in China, okay? And here the stuff you hear, it's just good for the state. Because when you analyze what they're doing, the winner is always the state. It's never the people. It's always the state. So you have to be very, very careful when you choose people and when you tell the ultra rich, I think it's all fine if it's free market. I think it's all fine. You have to be careful because most of the time they're defending their position in life. They are defending their belief, their income, their status. They are defending a lot of stuff, and that's the only thing they can do. If they preach anything else, well, then nobody would read their books and they won't get any jobs and they won't be able to put any money on the table and feed their kids. So that's why they do what they do. So you have to be always careful, have critical thinking and ask yourself, why is the guy saying what he's doing? And why is he of things he tries to prove? And it's really funny because they try to prove it with mathematics, but the mathematics they mean nothing. In university, in economics, they mean nothing. They don't prove anything, but a lot of calculation and a lot of things. And they want to make you believe that it's the truth. Okay. And I'm sure they do exactly the same in China. With their economics, they also prove you mathematically that it's the best way of thinking. So you always have to be very careful when you listen to people.
Yes, I'll try to keep that in mind.
So he had ace 5 suited. Should he have called?
This guy's calling you with pretty much everything if he called with that. So this makes it way worse, right? I know you had ace king, but this means you were under enormous risk of going out 5th. So his hand had 30% here, but another time he might have like Jack 10 suited, which has close to 40% against your hand and so on. So yeah, this is a worry in a way that I know you have like the better ace and you get all in, but this is to it doesn't align with your tournament goal to get in these confrontations. Basically, that's the thing I wanted to say on this. That as a tournament player, I'm worried even if I win this hand or even before the board's dealt, just being in this, the more often you're all in, the more likely you're going to go out of the tournament. It's the simplest way I can put it. And by all in, I mean all in where the other guy comes all in with you, right? So you can be all in 100 times. If every time everyone folds, then it's not a big risk. But if you get in actual all-in spots when the other guy doesn't respect your all-in, essentially, that's the spot to worry about in my mind. All right.
Thank you. Do we have one more hand to look at?
I think there was 2 more I wanted to look. Hopefully they'll go quicker, but we'll see. Another ace king. 6 players left now. And again, you're second, almost second, and in third. So there's some pressure here. I mean, you're currently trending into top 3, and there's 3 shorter stacks. So, but yeah, if player 2 goes all in, it doesn't. Interesting. Okay. Player 3 goes or doesn't. Yeah. I mean, this is very gross, actually. These are difficult hands, right? So I don't like anything about this. You're now having to risk 19 to win 29. So you're getting 2 to 3 or 1 to win 1.5. So you need a 40% chance if your goal is to win big blinds. And yeah, your ace king has more than that 40% chance. But our goal isn't to win big blinds. Our goal is to get to high places. And yeah, I mean, I don't like this at all.
So you want me to fold?
I think that would increase your chances of getting to a higher price on average. But I think the first disconnect we have is you raise to 3 big blinds, which I would only raise to, well, I would almost never raise to it, but I would find it acceptable early levels of tournaments. Now, when everyone has 11 or 6 or 20 big blinds, I don't see any reason to raise more than 2 big blinds. So that also makes folding more difficult. If you initially risked more than 2 big blinds and you risked 3. But, this hand is very tough. I feel like I could go either way with this. So I guess but yeah, I would think folding folding to me would show that you're really trying to get as far as possible in tournaments. And calling to me is you're playing for big blinds. So in a way, this is like a mindset tester hand. Are you thinking of gambling and winning pots, or are you trying to move further? So, and this is a great thing you did here. So that's very actually. Can we see how it played out and what each of your opponents had? Yeah. I mean, 3-way all in. And as you can see, you would have just about won it, but it's an ugly spot to be in a 3-way all in with a lot of risk. Now you folded. And your situation is basically the same. You started with 21 big blinds. Now you have 18. So you avoided the risk and you didn't, essentially your chances in the tournament are close to as good as they were before this hand. So this is, I think, a key thing here, that we shouldn't be too much results oriented and look at this nice big pot you would have won, but recognize that it's this time you would have won, but many times this would have been the end of your tournament as well.
Yeah. The thing is, what worried me the most is not just his all in 22, but I was scared about the all in from the other guy, the player 2. So I was thinking that not just is there a chance that guy will go, that did an all-in, has something good like pocket jacks, but I also was scared that the other one would call, and then my chance is just 1 out of 3 to win. So that's not so good. So yeah.
Yeah, if one of them has any pair, then you're behind that pair, and player 3 had ace queen, okay, but I don't think he would go all in like that with ace 10 either, right? So sometimes he has ace queen, yes, but another time he has jacks or queens or 10s or 9s. So yeah, I don't mind this hand. Actually, I think this is a good sign, this hand. I'm very happy as a coach to see your willingness to suffer a little longer and to fight another day and not risk it all in this situation. I think that's a mature decision.
Thank you, Norman. And also, when I went for 3 big blinds, player 2, he should have gone all in if he had something good enough. For just calling 3 big blinds, it's not a good decision anyways. And now that he had called 3 big blinds, will he fold? Well, the probability of folding are very low. So, and what did he have? Jack, King, Jack suited. Well, all in, okay, but calling 3 big blinds, not so smart.
He was thinking, I only have 8 big blinds, only 6 big blinds. Whatever, I'll try to gamble for it.
Yeah, I get that. So we have one more, you said, to look at.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we should see what player 7 does first, right? Before we get too deep into it. Okay. They show weakness. I mean, your hand's extremely good. You'd like to play a nice big pot here. So I think very principled would be to start with some betting.
Yeah. And not just is my hand good, but it's a hidden hand. So you don't think about an ace and a 2. You might think about a king, or an 8. But that he puts me on an ace and a 2, there's very low chances. I don't think a lot of people would think I have an ace and a 2.
Yes, and you have 2 pair on a board where are there straights possible on this board right now?
I don't think so, because there's quite some distance between the 2 and the 8 and the king. So I don't think you can do with that a straight.
Are there flushes currently possible?
No.
Full houses?
For a full house, you need 2 pairs, and you need a 3 of a kind, and on top of that 1 pair for a full house. So no, I don't think you can make that with this board.
Could someone have
correct 4 of a kind? No.
Could someone have a straight flush or royal flush?
Straight flush or royal flush? No, I don't think so. I don't know, but you're asking about even more complicated stuff. So logical saying, if you cannot make a full house, well, if that's too difficult, can you make something even better than that? I don't think so.
I mean, in some spots it could be possible. In some spots you could make a flush but couldn't make a straight. So, or you could make a royal flush but couldn't make a full house. So it is sometimes possible. Why I'm asking these questions is, on this board, the strongest possible hand is 3 of a kind. So that means your 2 pair is very, very strong, right? So if
but if he has 3 of a kind, will he check? Then he would be trapping. I think he should bet a little and hope that I have a king and start calling. So I don't think that's a very smart decision with 3 of a kind to check.
Yeah, I mean, he can do whatever. My whole point was that your hand extremely strong on this board because there's very few things that can beat your 2 pair. That's my point.
Okay, I understand that. Thank you for Norman.
All right. Yeah, let's see what he does first. It's again the first action. So he keeps on checking. I mean, your hand there's a new card on the board, but it's still extremely strong. So I think you can keep on betting here and hope that he has an ace or a king, essentially. All right, let's hope he calls. Right, now this is where things get weird and possibly, I think you folded this hand, but if you didn't, you could say you made a mistake here. We'll see what you did, but now he's making a very strong play, right? So would you think just 1 pair ace would go all in here? If you just had ace 10, would he go all in here?
Yes, I think he would.
All right, then it puts you in a trickier spot. But my read would be more commonly, if he had 1 pair, he would keep on calling. I don't think, or if he raised, I think he'd raise smaller. So I'm reading this all in as a strong hand, possibly ace 2, ace 8, maybe ace king. So now I would be worried. And yeah, I mean, it's a big all in here.
So you want me to fold? I really don't like that they give us the answer because you look on the right and you know what happened. So you know that it's not so good. But the thing is, without it, I would be sure that your answer would be more objective, not related to my results. I know that you always tell me what you think and not, and that you can make the difference. But I don't like that we actually see it. I would like it more if we don't see it. Anyways, so you want me to fold this hand?
Yeah, if you don't want us to see it, if you move your mouse to the right-hand side, you can scroll down there. So just scroll down, don't click on anything, just scroll down. There's also a bar for it, exactly. And then now it shows numbers for other hands. So you could basically set up a hand, scroll down, then start screen sharing. And then to move to the next hand, you would use the arrows to your keyboard, which would be up arrow if you wanted the previous hand and down arrow for next hand.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's next time do that. I hope I remember. If not, tell me. Anyways.
Okay. So yeah, anyhow, you know how I've seen your hands play out. To me, this is extremely surprising what happened on the turn and extremely strong as well. I'm expecting here he's either on a weak hand and folding, or he has a king or an ace and he's just calling. For him to now go all in for 3 times the pot was less than 10 chips and he's going all in for nearly 3 times that, a little less. That's a very, very big move here. So unless I have a read on that player being crazy and playing every hand and doing nonsense stuff, if it's just a random average opponent you have, I would lean on believing that they have something extremely good.
You would fold.
Well, and continue with the 40.7 big blinds and possibly still win the tournament, right? So it's...
Yeah, I don't mind you folding. I'm just asking.
Yes, I think it's unnecessary risk at this point.
You were right, Norman. You were right. But I think he would have done the same with just bet.
I think that's a bit hopeful, but I also want to say even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So yeah. But
Okay,
I mean,
Norman.
there's a silver lining here. At least if you click few clicks back, you had some chips left in this tournament, right? So can you click to the point? Yeah, just before you called his all in, then we can calculate it. Yeah, here. So 23. Yeah, you had 17 big blinds left. So even with that, if you're a true tournament player, you would still put up a strong fight. I mean, 17 big blinds is decent amount. So, but we disagree on the fact that you think he would do it with every. To me, that's a bit.
I think there are even people who do it with just one king. Here, just with one king, without having an ace. I think there are also people who do that. But I agree with your analysis. I hope that one day I will be able to fold that kind of hand. Thank you a lot, Norman.
All right. So these were the 4 hands I wanted to look at. Yeah, the heads up bit. I mean, I think we've gone quite a while and I'm getting...
Yeah, we do that another day. So thanks for all your energy and all the time you take to go in details about this hand. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see you next week and also to hear from your friend or meet him online one day. If you still think that that's a good idea, then I'm all for it, Norman.
I'll message you if I have any news on that.
Great. Enjoy your life and take care, Norman.
You too, and good luck with your poker.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.